With just over a month to go before U.S. Election Day, the campaign is in its final stretch. And while we've focused on the presidential election, there are plenty of other races, including for the House and the Senate, that are crucial to how much the president can get done once in office. Now, currently, Democrats hold the Senate and Republicans control the House, but that all could change depending on how Election Day pans out. Joining us now is France 24's Kethevane Gorjestani. She's our international affairs editor, former Washington, D.C. correspondent, so obviously well-versed in this topic. Let's start with the House of Representatives, which is the lower house of Congress. Republicans have one of the narrowest majorities in U.S. history. What's at stake there?
Well, of course, the Republicans hoping to keep that very narrow majority, even trying to extend it. Right now, it's 217 to 213, so they don't even have the full majority because of certain vacancies. But in November, 435 seats, all of the seats of the House are up for a re-election. And just like the presidential election, there are some battleground districts, if you will. Most of the country doesn't really matter because they're not really competitive, and it's a small portion of these races that will actually determine the majority in the House. And one of the analyst groups that looks at what competitive races are is the Cook Political Report, and they've put out their ratings for the House. And out of the 435, they consider that 366 are solidly either Democratic or Republican, meaning there's absolutely no suspense about who's going to win them. Then you have 26 that are likely Democrat or Republican, meaning that right now they're not competitive, but there could be a last-minute surprise, but it tends to fall in line. And then you have the 43 really competitive seats, according to that rating. 13 lean slightly towards the Democrats, 6 lean slightly towards the Republicans, but we're talking 1 or 2 points. And then you have 24 races that are toss-ups, meaning either the Republicans or the Democrats have pretty much the exact same chance at winning those districts. So it's pretty close, and just a few races, a few districts will determine. Right now, most of the polling and most of the projections show that the Democrats could actually have a little bit of an advantage over the Republicans of regaining control of the House. But if they do so, they will likely also have a very slim majority of maybe 1, 2, 3 votes in the House. But we've seen in the past years that those majorities have been tending towards being 1, 2, or 3 votes.
Mm-hmm. And requires either the Republicans or the Democrats to really work together, which has been harder and harder in recent years.
And to not lose any one of their own, and to hold their caucus together, too.
Yes. So what about the Senate, the upper house? Now, unlike the House of Representatives, where the whole group has to get reelected every 2 years, in the Senate, it's just a third of the seats that are up for grabs this
Exactly.
time.
And this year, it's 34 seats out of the 100 in the Senate. As you said, the Democrats hold the majority. It's a very slim majority, 1 vote, 51 to 50, thanks to the 4 independents that actually vote or caucus with the Democrats. But according to the same Cook Political Report ratings, only 8 out of those 34 races are actually competitive races. And unsurprisingly, if you've been following the sort of presidential race, you find 5 of the battleground states in those 8 competitive Senate races. 4 are leaning Democratic, 2 are leaning Republican, and 2 are toss-ups. So you have Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those are all battleground states for the presidential elections, but also for the Senate race. And Democrats, in this case, are playing a little bit of defense because they are currently holding 7 of those 8 competitive seats. So they have to defend 7 of those seats. And right now, things are not looking good. For example, in Montana, for the Democrats, The projections for now are giving a slight advantage to the Republicans for potentially winning 51-49 for the Republicans. But the likeliest scenario right now might be a 50-50 Senate, the way it was back in 2020, which means that whoever wins the White House and therefore the vice presidency is going to have that majority in the Senate, because the vice president is the one that will have the tie-breaking vote in case of 50-50.